What's going on, guys? I wanted to make a quick video and give you a bit of an update on some recent trips that I've done. We've been out, it's been getting back into shark season, so I've had a couple of good sessions lately. I've also got some new gear to show you, which is super exciting. First of all, I just want to take you back 2 weeks ago. I didn't plan on vlogging this trip, but I hit something big enough that I was like, okay, quick, grab the camera. Had it in my bag, fortunately, so I grabbed the camera out, I had the GoPro mounted. And I don't know if it's the biggest shark I've ever caught, but it could be up there. It was at least 40 minutes of just pull, wind. He'd go for a run for 30 seconds, then pull, wind. Got to a point where I was like, you know what, he's gonna take all my line, I'm gonna lose him. So I've never done this before, I'm by myself, I've never done this before, but I actually tightened up the drag, literally put the rod between my legs, had it sort of anchored there, and then stumbled up to the front of the boat, pulled up the anchor, because I had the anchor down, pulled up the anchor, started the engine, and just drove in his direction. Now I know, you know, big fishing boats do this all the time. It's a pretty commonly used strategy to help you regain line. In this case, I didn't really know how to deal with that because this guy was running in a direction, so I knew that I could just sort of drive in that direction. Not particularly fast, but just drive in that direction, I would regain, and that's what happened. The fear is that as you get close, or as you come over the top of the fish, you don't want to go over that line because it'll hit the keel and you'll cut it because of the friction. It'll get undercaught in the propeller, which would be catastrophic for me, because then you really need to try and get that line out of the propeller before you drive anywhere, and you guarantee you lose the fish. So basically it was give it a quick blast, regain some line, slow down, way up where he's at, and then do that again. This is probably much better form with two people. Got to a point where he came up, he hit the surface, and as I look through the footage now, I'm like, it doesn't actually look that big, which is, I guess, always the case when you look at it on video compared to being there in that moment.
Oh shit. Holy shit. Holy shit.
I still think it's probably up there with the biggest sharks I've got. Definitely bigger than anything else on this channel. You'll see from the video now that he hits the surface a few times, so you do get a bit of the action, and then eventually busts me off on the end and just made a mess of the wire trace. And you know that it was interesting sort of back and forth when the bait ends up over your swivel and the wire trace is shredded up, the hook's bent. Like that was pretty interesting. Having lost that that fish, and that was since we've obviously gone and got 40-pound line on my big spinning rod. So I'm glad I hit that rod, because I wouldn't have gotten him anywhere near the boat with any of my other rods. Took out a friend last weekend and had a situation where we got a really nice small little black tip reef shark. Went well. It was a good little fight.
Oh,
Oh, snap!
dude, he
Wow!
nailed us.
Oh.
He broke me off next to the boat, but that's to be expected, using super light gear. I then got a bigger shark, and the same thing happened that happened the week prior. He took it, he ran along the surface, took all my line out, and eventually just broke me off. It was probably 20 seconds. He just took all the line, broke it off at the reel, and I'm just standing there like an idiot holding my rod, like, what do I do now? And my good friend Jason, who was with me at the time, he's actually the partner of mine in my business that we started 2 years ago. He was like, I'm done, I'm not coming out with you again unless we get better gear. And I was like, it's not the gear, it's the fish we're catching, right? But he was like, I have a plan. And he took me to BCF, local fishing retail store. And he said, I'm gonna buy you a present. And I was like, that's cool. And what he bought me is this. Now, the reason why he's not a fisherman by any means, but he can remember back when he was a teenager, which is only 10 years ago, but he can remember working in a sports store, and everyone would come in and buy these Shimano TLD25s, and when he saw this, he was like, he always wanted it, he could never afford it. Now we're in different places in our careers. He's like, I want to buy you that. And I was like, don't buy me that. And he really wanted to. So it's definitely the most expensive rod and reel I've ever had. It's just a fairly basic Shimano rod. So it's a sort of game style. It must only be like 5 foot. It's not particularly long. The rod's a Shimano Beastmaster. I don't actually know how long it is. Yeah, I'm not sure. And then the reel is the traditional TLD25, which, I didn't know much about. I'm not familiar with the overhead reels. I'm not familiar with the game style fishing, right? Like, you guys have seen my videos. I'm used to the egg beater, the spinning reels, and this is a very different style of fishing. It's the overhead reel. It's, this shifting drag on the side, which is, I'm pretty excited to use. I have really no idea how it's going to perform. I had one sort of bait caster, small overhead reel in the past, just for flicking baits, and I got sort of countless bird nests on that reel. So I got to a point where I was like, this is not worth, I don't want to learn something new, this is not worth it. So I'm super excited to try this. I've got to learn how to use it properly, but the fact that I can literally slide back, and that's basically free spooling line. Flick off the click. So that's like free spooling line. And then I can just literally jam that to there. And that's a good striking sort of weight. And then push it further again for essentially locking it off and making it very hard to pull that drag. That's gonna be really interesting for the sharks that we catch. I think it's not gonna be me sitting there spinning. You've all seen the videos. If you watch any videos on my channel, you've seen me sitting there spinning the top of the egg beater reel to try and get that drag tight again, or a bit looser because I feel like I'm going too hard. This is going to be literally like slide back and forward based on what's going on, and that's going to probably be a game changer for the shark fishing. So they've got 35-pound line on it at the moment, which is, certainly based on all of my past expeditions, more than enough. But with that in mind, I'm going to probably invest in something a lot heavier. I want to get braid on it anyway, may as well. So that's my next plan, is to get a lot heavier weight on it in terms of line. But I'm super excited to try this out. I think it's going to be a very, very different rod for me to use. And I've gone on, even just on Instagram, and looking up the hashtag Shimano TLD25. Suddenly you see like people catching marlin, sailfish, mackerel, tuna on this very reel. That's exciting to me because I've only ever used cheap, small pieces of equipment when I go out fishing, and it's partly because I'm using what I had when I was a kid. Like I've never really had to go and get heavier gear because I've never gone to locations where I would need to. But this makes me think, I've got the new boat, maybe I should be going out and investigating some different locations. With that in mind, what I also did was, I actually went online and bought a couple of hundred of these these 4-0 circle hooks. These are the hooks I've been using a lot lately. I absolutely love them. Is that gonna focus? No, maybe not. Come on. Oh well. That's the 4-0 circle hook. I'm gonna tap it, see if I can actually get that to focus. Let's see here. There we go. Is that focusing? Pretty close. So they've got that bent barb. The end of the hook is bent in, which is super interesting. I've heard a lot of people say that they use these hooks because essentially you're, let me refocus here. Essentially these hooks, I mean, basically it lets the fish hook itself, right? You don't really have to strike. They can be really effective for that style of fishing. And I think for sharks, I've seen a lot of people using the circle hook. So I've got quite the selection of those now. So I've always gone and bought small packets of 6 or 12 at a time. It's like, you know what, we're getting more serious now. I've got the new gear. It's time to get more serious with the tackle that we're using. So that's what I've got to play with. I really want to get out there. It's Saturday today. It's amazing weather actually. Wind's down. Looks like it would be spot on to be out there. I can't go out there today. We've got plans this afternoon, but I'm going to try and head out tomorrow. I know that it's going to be pretty windy and not good weather, but better to get out there than not, or at least try. And I just really want to get this in the water. I've been sitting in the apartment for the past few days, just playing with it, watching videos, trying to learn how it works. I really have no idea what I'm doing with this, so I expect it to be a bit rough the first few times while I try and get my head around it, and then it probably takes a long time to master. But it's gonna be a really, really fun experiment, so bear with me, and hopefully I've got some videos of us catching some big stuff with this very combo right here. Sorry this isn't a really particularly good fishing video. Hopefully there's more to come on this channel, and thank you to all of my new subscribers. There's been roughly 50 new subscribers over the past sort of week or two, and I really appreciate you guys jumping on and checking it out. I know many of you are there for the boat restoration project. I've still got quite a bit of work to do on the boat that I want to do going forward. Things that I've learned: it needs new rod holders, it needs better rod storage in the boat. So right now I'm just sort of throwing them on the floor or throwing them in the rod holder. In the rod holder they get a lot of sea spray, which I'd rather them not get. So I'm thinking about some kind of rod holder to on the inside of the sides of the boats, under the side rails, so I can sort of line them along the side. I know that I want to cut another storage hatch into the front of the boat, and yeah, there's a bunch of things I want to do. Set up, I've got my new rear sort of extension light that pulls out, so the all-around white light, so also to come with storage for that. So there's a lot to still be done, but that's one of those projects that I think I'll be making changes to that boat for as long as I own it, and we'll see how long that is, right? Well, until the next best offer comes along. So yeah, that's me. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers.